Summer camp had always been a highlight of 13-year-old Lily's year. The fresh air, the bonfires, the adventures, it was all so exciting. But this year, things were different. This year, something was off. It started on the first night. Lily and her bunkmates were settling into their cabin, laughing and joking about the summer ahead. But as the night grew darker and quieter, they heard strange noises coming from outside. It sounded like footsteps, heavy and deliberate. They all froze, listening intently. Suddenly, the door to their cabin burst open, and a figure stepped inside. It was a man, tall and muscular, with a wild look in his eyes. He wore ragged clothes and carried a large knife. The girls screamed and scrambled to the back of the cabin, trying to find something to defend themselves with. But the man did not attack. Instead, he simply stood there, staring at them. After a few long moments, he turned and left the cabin, disappearing into the darkness. The girls were terrified, but they convinced themselves that it was just a prank. Some of the older campers probably wanted to scare the newbies. They tried to push it out of their minds and get some sleep. But the strange occurrences continued throughout the summer. Every night, they heard footsteps and whispers outside their cabin. Every day, they found strange symbols etched into the trees and rocks around the campsite. And every few nights, they saw the man again, always just standing there and watching them. Lily tried to talk to the camp counselors about it, but they brushed her off. They said she was just homesick and imagining things. But Lily knew what she had seen and heard. Something was not right at this camp. One night, as the girls were gathered around the campfire, they heard a loud thud coming from the nearby woods. They all jumped up, expecting to see the man again. But instead, they saw something even more terrifying. Emerging from the woods was a horde of creatures, half human, half animal. They had razor-sharp teeth and glowing eyes, and they were moving closer and closer to the campsite. The girls screamed and scattered, trying to find a place to hide. Lily ran into the woods, hoping to lose the creatures in the darkness. But they were relentless, chasing after her with their terrifying growls and howls. Finally, Lily stumbled upon a cave. It was dark and damp, but she knew it was her only chance to escape. She crawled inside, curling up in a ball and waiting for the creatures to pass. Hours passed, and Lily sat there in the darkness, listening to the sounds of the campsite in the distance. Finally, she heard footsteps approaching. She held her breath, waiting to see who or what it was. To her relief, it was one of the camp counselors. She had come looking for Lily, knowing she had run off into the woods. She helped Lily out of the cave and back to the campsite, where the other girls were huddled together, shaken but alive. The camp was shut down the next day. It turned out that the creatures were the result of an experiment gone wrong. A mad scientist had been using the nearby woods as a testing ground for his genetic experiments. The man with the knife was one of his failed creations. Lily and the other girls went home, still shaken by the experience. They knew that they would never forget the horrors they had faced at summer camp. But they also knew that they had survived, and that they were stronger for it. Years passed and Lily grew up, but the memories of that summer camp still haunted her. She had nightmares about the creatures and the man with the knife, and she struggled with anxiety and fear. But she was determined not to let those experiences control her life. She worked hard in school and went on to study psychology in college, hoping to help others who had gone through trauma. One day, she received an email from one of her old campmates. It was an invitation to a reunion, a chance to reconnect with the girls who had been there that fateful summer. Lily hesitated at first, but eventually decided to go. She wanted to face her fears and put the past behind her once and for all. When she arrived at the reunion, she was surprised at how much everyone had changed. They were all adults now, with careers and families. But as they sat around the campfire, roasting marshmallows and sharing memories, Lily could feel the fear creeping back in. And then, just like that, the man with the knife appeared. He stepped out of the woods and into the clearing, his wild eyes scanning the group. The girls screamed and scrambled to their feet, trying to find something to defend themselves with. But the man did not attack. Instead, he simply stood there, watching them. And then, to their shock, he spoke. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice rough and hoarse. "I never meant to hurt anyone. I was just lost." He explained that he had been a homeless man, living in the woods near the campsite. He had stumbled upon the experiment and had been mutated by the scientists' chemicals. He had been so consumed by fear and anger that he had lashed out, attacking anyone who came near him. But now, years later, he had found a way to reverse the mutation and regain his humanity. He had come back to the campsite to apologize and make amends. The girls were hesitant at first, but as the man spoke, they could see the genuine remorse in his eyes. They forgave him, and together, they burned the symbols and artifacts that had been left behind by the mad scientists' experiments. They vowed to never let fear control them again. As Lily drove away from the reunion, she felt a sense of closure. She had faced her fears and come out on the other side. And while she knew that she would never forget the horrors of that summer camp, she also knew that she had found a way to move forward.